Today we're talking about the villain phase. I just finished explaining the player phase and what you do on your turn. Now I'm going to talk about what happens when the AI, when the game fights the heroes, when they fight you. This is the villain phase. The first thing you're going to do is place threat on the main scheme. Okay, I just have to find my main scheme card. So, like I said, the step one of the villain phase is to place threat on the main scheme. So this is your main scheme. It has a cost in the upper left corner. And the two main things you got to know in the game is that there's a villain. You win the game by taking the villain's HP to 0. This is Claw in his first form. And if I'm playing solo, he has, oh, come on. Let me focus. If I'm playing solo, he has an HP of 12 in his first form. And then in his second form, so you see number 2 there, he has an HP of 18. So once I do enough HP in the first form of 12, and then in his second form, HP of 18, I win the game when all his HP is gone. To lose the game is to have the main scheme when the number of threat that comes onto the main scheme hits this number. So in Marvel Champions, there can be a series of schemes that the villain is up to. In Claw, there's 2 schemes that are the main schemes. So if you see in the second scheme, 2B, that's 1B. If there's 8 threat ever on the main scheme here, if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So the first thing that happens in the villain phase, place threat on the main scheme. How much threat do you place? You place 1 per player. Sometimes there'll be another number there, so then it would be 2, it would be 2 per player, right? But it's either 1 or 2. Most of the time it's going to be 1. So every turn I'm going to put 1 threat on the main scheme. The villain now, so you'll see here, you have Claw. The villain and each engaged minion. So let's find the minion. So we'll find Melter. Okay. So now the villain and each engaged minion activates once per player in player order. Now, if at the start of the turn, I was in hero, at the start of the villain phase, if I was in hero form, Claw would now attack me. And that's how we know if he's going to attack or scheme. You'll see it says in the corner here, he attacks for 0, and there's an asterisk. The asterisk gives us special instructions, and then he does a basic scheme of 2. So what will the villain do? It depends on what position we're in. If we're in the hero position, he attacks. If we're in the alter ego position, he schemes. So what does that mean now? So when a villain attacks, they're going to draw typically 1 encounter card off the top of the deck. In the case of Claw, it says, when Claw attacks, give him +1 additional boost cards. So we would draw 2 cards, okay? And then now, at the bottom corner, you're gonna see, sorry, that's not the villain deck. This is the villain deck. So see the villain cards? So at the bottom corner, you're going to see a series of symbols. If you see this triangular symbol, that's the boost icon. That's how many points of damage he's attacking for. Sometimes there's a star, so you do the special instructions on the bottom half of the boost. So it says, give the villain a tough status card. So that's how attacking works. Whatever form the hero is in, the villain attacks appropriately. Attack for the hero, scheme for the alter ego. Okay. The minions now, however many minions are in play, will do the exact same thing. So if Rocket was in hero form, I took 3 damage. So that would come off my 9 hit points at the bottom there, right? And then Melter will also attack, and you can see Melter's attacking for 3. The minions do not draw boost cards. They just do their straight damage, whatever the printed value is. I take another 3, and then now Rocket Raccoon comes down to 3 HP. That's how activation works. Okay, so now Once we've done the activation of the villain and the minions, deal an encounter card to each player. So you're going to take, again, from the villain deck, one of these orange backed cards. You just draw the first one, and now you're going to complete the first top half of whatever it says. Sometimes you're going to draw minions like this. They just come into play. They do not activate. Okay? But if they have some special text that happens when they're revealed, you do it now. You'll see some things like this we'll draw as an encounter. This one is an attachment. It says attach to Claw. And then after Claw attacks and damages a character, stun that character. So this is basically, in a role-playing sense, this is a weapon that is now given to Claw that he found, and he shoots the sonic converter, and he damages us and stuns the hero every turn that he attacks and damages us. That's how that encounter would work. Another encounter would be a thing like Treachery. So this would be basically a second activation. When the hero, when revealed in the hero form, take 2 damage and Claw heals 2. Another thing that could happen is we draw another scheme, and we would put this in play, and then we would have to follow any rules for setup. So this now says Claw gets 10 more HP, but when the scheme is defeated, he loses these hit points. There's these different icons you'll see in some of the schemes, and we'll go over those later. But that's essentially what happens on the villain phase, right? To recap, place threat on the main scheme, if it's going to focus. Place threat on the main scheme. The villain and each minion activates. If you're in hero form, they attack, and if you're in alter ego form, they scheme. You deal an encounter card to each player, and then each player resolves the instructions on the encounter cards, and then that's the end of the villain phase. Very, very simple. So that, I'm going to set that there. That is how the villain phase plays. So the game goes between player phase, villain phase, player phase, villain phase. If you're playing multiplayer, don't forget to pass the first player token. The first player changes every round. And that's how you play Marvel Champions. The next thing I think I want to go through is probably some of the setup rules. We'll do that right now.